Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play LSD. I'm your host CPC Gamer, and in our last episode, I fell victim to one more dream syndrome and ended up sitting here for, like, half an hour. But who am I to complain? I like doing videos, and hopefully you like watching them, so let's go. It is dream 295. We have 70 dreams to go. We can do all that in this session, right? Oh. Yeah, if we're gonna show up in the pagoda, we can reach the end in like 20 minutes. Although, looking at some of the scenery, I am reminded of something else that happened in the last episode. I came to realize that I could read some of the things that I'm seeing in the written on tile sets. I mean, it is only some of the things that I'm seeing in the scenery. Individual letters and compounds here and there. I mean, I look back at the footage of the last episode, and the writing is a mixture of all three symbolic languages in Japanese: hiragana, katakana, and kanji. I mean, I can only pick out the first ones, which is the minority of the things that I'm seeing, and even then, it's not helping me to understand what's going on, because they appear to be gibberish words. It's like, you know, even when I come to understand this game, I still don't. You are a misery wrapped in an enema that is refusing to spawn the winged ox. I mean, you've been kind of good with that lately, which is surprising. A, hush my mouth, I'm a big snowman liar. B, I don't know if you saw that, but I linked with the flying monster, and it looked like it pulled me off the balcony and into... Well, I was going to say the white room, but given the abrupt ending, I'm going to change it to the red room. Do you like it? Do you like the red room? And that's a reference to the internet circa 2004. Which is fitting, since I've been in a Homestar Runner binge lately. Although I have to say, I felt kinda old when one of my friends didn't know what I was talking about when I said that I freaking hate Civi. Like, they assumed I was talking about a video game boss or something. First time that I ever felt old was when I was picking up something from GameStation, and I overheard this kid say, "No, I don't want that one, I want the original Mario, on the N64. So, yeah, that happened. But with that said, when I said original Mario, you thought of Mario on the NES, didn't you? Not Mario Bros. With the pipes and the power blocks, right? Unless you did. In which case, shut up, smarty. Nobody asked you. Fun fact, that's the only official Mario game to arrive on the CPC, and it was pretty awful. I mean, it's probably why Nintendo then turned around and decided to keep their toys to themselves. So, ma'am, you are rotating. Tell me about that. Aha! I'm back outside the house. And I'm facing the direction I was facing when I linked with the old woman. Which is just what I expected would happen. And I'm gonna link while I'm looking at you. Because your legs aren't long enough to reach the ground. I had to explain that to my boss once. The idea that everybody's feet reach the ground. And that was a depressing moment in realizing that this person is in charge of me. And that text says Teha Ikura. And I don't think that's a word, I think that's just nonsense. But I can read it! I mean, this is good practice, I think, because... I mean, I took piano lessons for about 5 or 6 years when I was younger, and I learned to play the tunes rather than to read the music. Like, I want to learn to read the characters rather than just words. Hello, Mr. Cube! You are pretty close to the ground. And there's 2 of you. Do you always have this construction going on, or is that just me not coming this way often enough, or, you know, paying enough attention to notice? Sudden realization, maybe the reason my dreams are clustered together on the dream chart is because I've not spent enough time looking at the models in the written-on texture pack. I mean, if I were able to read Japanese, fully read Japanese, not just pick out individual characters, I would stare at that cube for a good 5 minutes while I read and understood what was going on. And in doing so, maybe I'd then influence the results on the dream chart. But since I can't read Japanese yet, I'm just giving them a casual glance and moving along. You know, since I'm not paying attention to the game chooses not to pay attention to me. Although I like how I said I don't know Japanese yet. That is a shocking display of optimism and hope from me, who very often says, I'm never happy, why would anything nice ever happen, when prompted how he's doing. Or sometimes not, when people ask me how I'm doing. Sometimes I just shout it at people and have done with it. And I think we're back in Happy Town, and indeed we are. We are stuck in a recursive loop with no way of getting out of it. Except for all those fail-safe measures that ensure that we absolutely can. What is that creaking noise? Because I keep hearing it while I'm out here, and I've never found what's causing it, so... I don't know. Must be the wind. Or something passing its sneak check. Man, I mentioned before how I used to have a dual-class bard barbarian character in a D&D game in high school. One of the best things I ever did was to pass a sneak check so well that a couple of guards were convinced the reason they heard Enter Sandman was because it was the wind. I don't know what you're doing, game. I didn't stick on anything right there. Although it does give me an excuse to come to the violence district. On the bonnet of someone's car, apparently. Good lord, I was the bodies! Or... something. Not entirely sure where I was going with that one. Nor am I entirely sure where I'm going now. Time for my emergency go-to topic, random CPC trivia. The game APB by Tengen inexplicably included a soundtrack lifted wholesale from Midway's 1943. And now you know. Usually you have to go to Guru Larry for something like that, but I will give it out for free, and I am not gonna deal with you, my good man. I reject you entirely. And speaking of music, I thought the music was meant to stutter just before you showed up. But it didn't. What's up with that? But admittedly, it's not an intentional thing. Just the game pausing as it loads the Grey Man's data. But it's still a thing. And I felt pretty proud of myself for spotting that. I mean, I've had a lot of that lately. Feeling absurdly proud of myself for miniature achievements. You just take what you can get, you know? I'm happy I lived on my own for 4 months and I haven't poisoned myself or set fire to anything. Yet. It's probably on the way. And I forget, did we decide if you do anything or not? I don't think you do, but that's not going to stop me from trying. I mean, when was knowing the outcome of something enough to stop me from doing it? That's the entire basis of this series and like 90% of my job interviews and promotion applications. And I think that one would be funny if it wasn't so sad. Quick, topic change! We are in the warehouse district. Sadly, no warehouse 13. Now that's a sci-fi trope that I really enjoy. The idea that, like, yes, all this messed up paranormal stuff does exist, and it's all in one place because God only knows what happens if it gets out. I mean, I forget if I mentioned as such, but I was going to do a short story that would come in 2 parts. And the first would be done as Nobody, telling a tale about the hexagon. And it will be about a clock that, when you looked at it, it told you the time that you would die. And the other part would be an SCP entry. And it would detail this clock that they picked up from wherever, and it would recap what the clock did. But they would do it in a clinical and official way. And I wouldn't tell people that I had made the link. I'd just leave them to make the conclusion of themselves, you know? It would have horrifying implications for the other things I've written. Because I like to think that most everything I write exists in the same universe, and linking that to this other dreadful universe online is not advisable. Although it is always fun seeing which universes cross over like that. I mean, there is a great big chart that details a whole bunch of TV shows that take place in the same universe, based on shared characters and cameos, and it suggests that the majority of TV takes place in the same universe, which in turn is all the imagination of some kid with a snow globe at the end of St. Elsewhere. Anyhow, I'm going to try walking backwards into the guy with a gun, to see if he spawns based on proximity, or whether or not I'm looking at him. I mean, the sailor appears or disappears based on line of sight, so... my controls have locked, so I guess it is based on line of sight after all. And just like in my own dreams, we fall to the floor exceptionally slowly. I'll have to make a point of linking with that guy in reverse next time I'm out there. Just watch, I won't remember that. And I'll spend the rest of this video questioning just what the heck I meant to be doing. And speaking of which, here is some more text I can't read on a scene I don't understand. If I had to pick a sentence that best describes this Rook of 6 videos, that would be it. And I'm not entirely sure how that differentiates these ones from the other videos, but it does somehow. So I'm going to walk backwards into you. Walking backwards is how I came here, it seems a good enough way to go back out again. And yeah, see, we're not in the violence district anymore. We're in Happy Town. That's a much better turn of events. I mean, if you take things at face value. Anyway, I still subscribe to the idea that this is a sinister area, presented as happy, because it's better than whatever horrible reality exists. Like the equivalent of ignoring stress to go to your happy place. Or just ignoring responsibilities in general. Like someone who's playing video games, instead of studying for an upcoming trip or packing for a convention. I mean, just to pick two random ideas out of thin air that don't particularly pertain to anyone or anything in the present vicinity. Certainly not me. Alright, I'm going this way. As always, I want to see the weirdery going on with the figures in the garden right here. And actually the rabbit has been stretched horizontally. Usually it's the bear, but apparently this is not the case. Oh, and I mentioned it looks like he has something in his eyes the last time I was here, but on closer inspection he does not. It just looks like his eyes are fingerprints. Ooh, now this one's a rarity. We don't very often start up here. I wonder if I'll get dragged off the edge of the map again and thrown into wherever. I'm gonna have to look at the footage when I process this video. I would swear that I got dragged off the balcony the last time I was here. But there's no time to look back at such petty things. We must move on and into the future. See? We're linking out of the pagoda and towards somewhere else. Oh yeah, Kyoto! Which reminds me, this game takes place in and around Meigetsuso, which is an actual place. And when my friends and I go to Japan, I'm going to go there to check it out. And that is some dedication to playing this game to you guys. And I'm going to link with you. I mean, there's no practical reason to, I just like nagging the giant face in the wall. I mean, don't tell me you wouldn't. It's human nature. Here's something I don't understand, I'm going to poke it with sticks. And then run away when it doesn't like it. And that's all for today's episode of History with CPC Gamer. Tune in next time for the story of how George Washington and Abraham Lincoln joined forces to suplex the communist war machine into the heart of the sun. Which, incidentally, is the game design document for my game Lincoln Gold and Washington Steel. I mean, I don't know why, but I have an odd fondness for wholly inaccurate history lessons. I mean, it's like the lies that dads tell their children when they have to explain something they don't know. I love seeing those. Because, I mean, I see a lot of parents lying to their children at work, and I hate it. Oh, and I hate you too. I bet you're the kind of person who goes, oh no, that chocolate's for dogs. You can't have it, because I'm a suburban piece of trash who can't exert authority over a 3-year-old. Don't do that, you subhuman trash. But what I do enjoy seeing is people making up stupid explanations for things. And my favourite one is that light bulbs do not emit light, they absorb dark. And that's the reason light bulbs pop and they stop working, is because they have absorbed too much dark. They're full, they can't process anymore, so they need to be thrown out and replaced with an empty one. Now, don't ask why, because I don't know, but I just love hearing those. I mean, by all means, comment with your favourite one, because I love hearing them. Just not enough to go out and Google them, apparently. And that's my next book idea, The World According to Dad. A collection of nonsense explaining how everything works. I mean, bonus points if we do actually market it to children, and we get them to believe any of it. Like my personal best about the crocodiles powering the supermarket conveyor belts. Ooh, and she's back. Let's see if she's going to keep flickering back and forth between alive and dead like the last time. I mean, I suppose you could interpret this as like something rapidly shifting back and forth, but the PlayStation hardware can't actually deal with it. I mean, that is assuming YouTube shows the single frames where that girl is lying in her dying state and didn't just chew it up and spit it out like it did with all my old videos. So thanks for that. I don't know, maybe she's flickering back and forth as the brain's way of perceiving something impossible. Like when I dream of impossible things, I inexplicably look at it for as long as I can before my brain decides it's had enough and then it feels like I get punched in the ear. But that's one of the problems with dream and nightmare logic. It makes perfect sense to the unconscious brain, but in reality it's not quite as straightforward. I mean, for example, I'm pretty sure that the big head is not going to spawn, but I'm going to check anyway, because that's what I feel like doing. Or it's what I think I should do. I mean, that makes me think of something I learned in college, and I use to this day in my day-to-day life. Like, we did a unit on gender and language, and in part it looked at how, for example, the suffix "et" is used to refer to both women and a smaller version of existing things, and that's bad. And one of the things we discussed was gendered verbs. And this shows up a lot in advertising, and once you notice it, you won't be able to stop noticing it. As a general rule of thumb, adverts tell men to think, and women are told to feel. And I use that when I'm talking to customers, and I kind of feel like a horrible person for doing it. And worst of it is, it gets results. Like, we're given all these targets and quotas to hit with the customers, and the best way to do it is neuro-linguistic programming, which should give you some indication of how ludicrously unfair some of our targets are. But with that said, as far as I know, head office is a crystal fortress at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, so I can see why they would have trouble relating to the real world. And then I wonder why they won't promote me. Moving on! I'm going to walk backwards into this guy again, and see what happens. How about that? I said I was going to do a thing, and then I remembered it. I am doing surprisingly well. If I had to guess, I'm going to link with him and go to the gear room. Man-made objects and machines in the violence district tend to take you to the gear room. And here we are. It's a much more barren and boring and plain gear room compared to the last one, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, let's see what Kyoto has to offer. Whoa, the grey man! Okay, rapidly leaving and going into another map. I like some of the things that Kyoto's been doing lately, but I am not so keen on seeing you. Oh, we're back here again. Now, something that I've noticed is the violence district is about the only wide open location that always has the same skybox. I mean, I can see why. If it had the bright green or yellow ones that you sometimes see in Kyoto, it would kinda ruin the atmosphere. Like, the abandoned hospital is considerably less scary during the day, you know? I think it could have worked if they'd programmed a small variety of skyboxes. Like, mostly it's deep blue, like now, but occasionally it could be black or grey. I mean, red, maybe. Like, they could include some fogs, too. Like, I think a thick mist would really add to the atmosphere. You know, the atmosphere of, oh no, I'm stuck with a murderer. Probably make things easier on the CPU as well. But what do I know? I only play these things. I mean, I very often say, I'm the ideas man, but I've recently been told that that's a rather defeatist attitude to take. And what you should say is that you're part of the character concept team, or the artists, or the design units. A lot better on a resume than standing up and saying I had an idea this one time. Right, I think we're going to finish things off for today by tracking down that bin full of body parts. After 3 videos of false starts. Game! Why? Well, forget it. I mean, we're still going to move on and finish off the video with whatever's to hand, which at present could mean smashing the disc to pieces with a pumpkin-scented candle. So, You know, if this is the last episode of LSD, you'll know that I took out my frustrations on the disc when I hit the stop record button. Although, on a more serious note, what is going on with you two? Like, why are you both the same size now? That doesn't make any sense. Did you see the bear moving as I linked out? I really hope not. I mean, if you run with the hypothesis that the bear represents some kind of an attacker and the rabbit is the victim, then the fact that he got rid of me and pounced on the rabbit is a terrifying thought. Again, though, it could just be me reading too much into things. It has been known, especially when it comes to video games. I love out there theories in my video games. Oh, and wouldn't you know it, we're out here in Crayon Desert. Back in familiar territories. Is there only one lion? I don't know. Oh, okay, no, he spawned over there. Well, time to go and bother them to end the dream. Hey, guy, how's it going? Guy? Oh. Okay, be like that. Not quite what I had expected, but technically it kinda was. Anyways, time to call it. So join us next time for more LSD, and until next time, goodbye!